Hey everyone, welcome to Collie Country. My name's Kim and today we're going to be doing a bit of a garden tour. We don't have too much going on, but some things have changed a lot in the last few weeks if you've been following us. So we'll go into the first greenhouse. There's a few things planted. I haven't planted crazy amounts in here, but we've got some tomatoes. For whatever reason, the fresh growth is weird. It's on both of them. These are both cherry tomatoes. They probably just need a feed of something, some sort of fertilizer. Then we've got a few like normal sized tomato slices and whatnot. However, most of these, I don't know if you can see, they're getting munched here at the base. Get rid of these weeds. They're getting munched at the base and it's killing some of them, which only seems to be in this greenhouse now. Anyway, planted some, look, this one's been unburied. Planted some pak choi between the tomatoes I've got left. These all need tying up. Now this variety of tomatoes is the Tropic, which has got, like it's a good medium-sized tomato. It's supposed to grow well in the hotter climates, even though it's winter. So yeah, pak choi between the tomatoes. The pak choi is growing pretty well. It's gotten a little bit munched, but I have left the door open the last few nights just to hopefully let some more breeze through. Anyway, these in front are carrots. These are growing pretty well, although I have noticed a few of these have been getting munched as well, so I'm going to have to start closing this door up again at night. It could be one of the collies just jumping in here because our pup Gracie does like to jump in the garden and sleep in it. So it could just be her. It might not actually be other critters, but I don't know what's munching the bottom of the tomatoes. So what else have we got in this greenhouse? Not much. I planted out all these cauliflower seedlings because I were just struggling in the potting mix. I think the potting mix was a bit crap actually. So there was cauliflowers all planted through here, but only about maybe half have survived. They're doing heaps better. The ones that survived are doing much better in the garden now. Thinking up this trellis thing that I had, I might plant some more cucumbers, see how they go in winter. Some random herbs. And yeah, that's about all we've got in the first greenhouse. Closes up because it's getting late in the afternoon. All right, oh, sun in your eyes, I think. Now, the second greenhouse is doing amazing. I'm so happy with how this greenhouse, or everything that's in it, is growing. It's just done amazing, really. I've never had my tomatoes growing like this. So, this is a greenhouse number 2, we'll call it. So, as you can see, I've already started trellising my tomatoes to go back this way. And as they grow a bit bigger, I'll trellis them to go back this other way, just to give myself more space, because it's going to be a long growing season and these tomatoes are going to get huge. So, first up we've got these radishes. Now this was just mixed heirloom seed mix, but we have gotten heaps off them. They're growing really well and they've been delicious considering it hasn't actually been cold. They haven't been too spicy and they've been really nice on burgers. We just slice them up thin on burgers, or putting them in the cast iron pot when we just like cook on the fire with different meats and whatever, just throwing some in and they lose all of that spiciness and they just They don't taste like potatoes, but they lose that spicy flavour and they're just really good. On this other side, I've got some Easter egg radishes. Now these guys, they're only just starting to thicken up, so, which I'm actually kind of grateful for, because there's only 2 of us and how many radishes can 2 people eat? So I'm glad these ones are going to be coming in a bit later. All right, up next to the radishes on this side, we've got beetroots, which, oh, they're weeds. Beetroots which have not bulbed up at all yet, but that's okay. I can wait. I also popped some lettuce that I started in just, you know, your little seedling pots. I started just some lettuce between. I'm going to see how they're going to go in this greenhouse where it won't be too hot. So I'm hoping they don't go to seed too quick or go really bitter, which can happen. When it's too hot, lettuce seeds are just going to go straight to seed and they taste really gross after that. So, tomatoes, which is one of my favourite things to grow. They always look great, even though they take so much care to keep them alive. Alright, let's see what we've got going on here. This variety has lost its tag, so I don't know what's going on here. I also planted basil and marigold seeds in a few little patches you'll see, but I don't know which one's which, so we'll see if they even come up. It's fine if they don't. I just chucked them out. The basil seed was a couple of years old, which shouldn't really matter, but still less germination. And also I haven't really kept up in the watering because the tomatoes are doing so well. They don't need a lot of water, so I haven't been reminded to come out here and water the seeds I threw on the ground, but we'll see. Anyway, tomato varieties. I have no idea what these first ones are. I have no idea what these first 2 are. I seem to have lost the tag, which could be pup sabotage for sure. But next up, we've got this Rumsey's Red. It's doing well. It split off into 2 without me even noticing. Seriously, like you blink and a week later, there's suckers everywhere and they're too big to take off already. But I did do a bit of trimming today, just chop and drop, because we'll ignore my mess. I just do a chop and drop method when the leaves are healthy, because it's not going to bring any disease into my garden then. All right, next up, look at this little bunch. Beautiful. This is the Jubilee Yellow. And I don't mind the yellow tomatoes. They're not as flavourful, but they're really great for like sandwiches and fresh eating. So that'd be a Jubilee Yellow. Lettuce bed. This is the Brandywine Pink. As you can see, the Brandywines have that potato leaf, say compared to, you know, like a normal leafed tomato. Not too many varieties have that style of leaf, but the Brandywines definitely do. And I come through and picked off suckers and things in here today, but I think I might have missed a few. Another Brandywine. This is my star tomato plant. It has been growing so well. I'm so impressed with this one. It has just gone stupid. I just can't keep up with it. As you can see, it's come right up to here, all the way over. I had tied up. I will let it grow a bit more and then it's going to go back towards the other way. When you're growing like this, it is really important to give it a really good trim, because you want that airflow, and you also want it to concentrate on making tomatoes and not leaves, which I think this one has been trying to do, but it's setting a few more flowers now, so hopefully it starts setting a bit more fruit. The only problem with this is that I'm having to climb around, and this dang plant's in the way. I cannot wait for this thing to die back because I need it out of my greenhouse. These flaming green ants love it. They're making their nests in here. There's a nest here, and there's like a nest here. And these little buggers just like to bite me whenever I'm in here stuffing around. At the back, we've got a couple of beefsteak tomatoes. And then from that one on, I believe, is all the black crim. So all these last four over here are all black crim, which I love the dark style tomatoes. I just love the flavour of them. They've got such a deep, rich flavour. They're not as like sweet. They're not as bland. They taste so different to like a store-bought tomato, which tastes like nothing really. So then we've got this dang plant, which I did cut back a little bit, but I need to wait for it to die to be able to pull it out. And then down this other side here, I don't know, I've lost all the tags I think for most of these. I just know this one on the end is a Brandywine red. It's once again got the potato leaf variety. So yeah, I guess we'll see what grows up this way. But I think the biggest difference in this greenhouse compared to the other ones, especially how the tomatoes are growing, is all through the beds here. I buried heaps of fish carcasses from when we've been catching fish, and it has just made the biggest difference. I didn't put any fertilizer other than the fish carcasses in this bed. I didn't do anything different. It's literally just the fish. So I think that's proof of just how much difference burying fish carcasses under your tomatoes can make. Pup's getting into stuff. These two are the biggest hunters, trying to chase lizards and God knows what through the grass. I'm just so concerned these two are going to end up getting bit by snakes because they're idiots. Hey, Cricky. Yeah. All right, keep at it then. All right, we've got two more beds just outside this greenhouse. So these two here. And I just planted, in this one, I just planted all my onions. And once again, they've all been, well, nearly all have been eaten. I must have planted like so many in here, and there's hardly any left. I think these are also getting eaten by something. So I think maybe we'll have to plant something else in these beds next season. In the opposite bed, I also planted a few spare little onion plants that I had left over. Also planted some bean seeds I had left over, which are doing pretty well. This one's not happy, but the others are doing okay. And sweet potato was popping back up. There was sweet potato in this bed. And anywhere you grow sweet potato, there's pretty much always going to be sweet potato. You're never going to get every little bit of it out. Any little bit of root, any little bit of potato, anything you leave in there is going to grow again. Not always a bad thing. So these are just bush beans. These ones down here, they're just bush beans, so they'll grow pretty quick. Once they're done, I'll pull them out and then I'll just let the sweet potatoes have this bed. All right, down the outside of this outside beds, I've still got these leeks. They're still growing semi-strong. I mean, they don't seem to be growing, but they're not dying, so we'll just leave them. It's still been pretty warm. Can't complain. Had a few cooler nights, but nothing cold. This tomato's struggling. Oh, probably because it got chewed off. That'll do it. All right. But the ones that we have left in here, they're just not growing. And this soil is crud. Like, it's really cruddy. These two on the end are a little bit bigger, but they're pretty cruddy. We do have a little baby tomato on it though. That's a bit cute. That must have been an ephaceated blossom. See how it's growing two together? It's what happens when you've got blossoms. So one of these blossoms, if two of them like fused together, and they'll grow a funky looking tomato, but I'll take it. These are determinate tomatoes, so you don't need to prune them, you don't need to trim them. You still might need to tie them up. They can still get reasonably big, but you don't prune off these little suckers that come through like you do with the big tomatoes. You don't prune those off. These ones you just leave to go wild. I do anyway. And these tomatoes that are struggling and puny and tiny, I planted these ones at the same time that I planted the ones in that greenhouse that are just huge, which shows you the difference a bit of fixing up of the soil can make. I knew it was a risk planting them, but it's fine. Now, one of the things I'm really happy with is I've cleaned out all the beds, well, all the beds, two of these long beds on the outside, the ones that are covered by a bit of shade, just because these were the first two, so they were the first two to get done. It took us a while, but we had to dig out all this tarp. So there was this tarp, and it's not like stuff that'll disintegrate over, I mean, it will disintegrate over time, but not quickly, was under all these beds, and they're under that bed as well. Not sure about the one on the end, I'll have to check, but they were under these two beds, so it took us a while to dig it all out. So on the left here, I've got all my canning tomatoes. So these ones on the end are struggling a bit more because the dang pups keep trampling them. They get better and better as they go along because they've had less harassment. But so these are all Amish paste tomatoes. And look, considering I didn't amend this bed at all, I'm okay with what is happening with them. They'll get there. I also planted marigolds and basil in patches along here too. I think that might be a marigold. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if you can see it, maybe some baby basil coming through. I just dumped heaps of seeds. So as we go down, as you can see, they actually needed tying up. They're getting bigger and bigger. And we've got this one here, which was the Valiant variety, and it's growing really well. It's also Valiant. Beautiful. And then these two on the end are something else. And now I can't remember what it was, or maybe these few on the end. I think these two on the end might be the Tigerella tomatoes. You see they're starting to throw little blossoms. Love it. And I put a heap of this mulch that I got. It was pretty cheap, but it's actually, I'm not happy with it. It's so hard to spread around. It's just a bit cruddy. At the end of this bed, I've only just planted these today. I've planted all my flowers. So these are all dahlias. These I'm not sure. I'm hoping these are alyssum. Alyssum is great for attracting not only like your bees, but also ladybugs and other bugs that will eat aphids and the bugs that you don't want in the garden. Alyssum is great for attracting that. And not only that, it will take over your bed and be a bit of a cover crop as such. Not that you're going to bury it in, but it will spread like crazy, but it won't compete with other things you want to plant around it. Its root system is so shallow that it's not going to disturb, you know, being around your tomatoes or anything else. So if you can get your hands on some sweet alyssum starts or seeds, I highly recommend growing it. And the last flowers we have here are my zinnias. From memory, these are 6 different types of zinnias I planted. I never labelled any of them, so we'll see what they come up as, but it should be a good variety and be really pretty at the end. Right at the end of this garden, we have some pineapple plants. Now, they're probably not going to produce any pineapples for at least another 6 months, but that's fine by me. And yes, pineapples grow on plants, not in trees, as a lot of people mistaken. Now, on this side of this bed, I've been so happy with it. I've planted heaps of bush beans and peas and snow peas. So, as you can see, the beans are doing great. I can't remember the types I planted in each section. I think this was the Redmond's bush bean, something like that anyway. But I do know at the back, give them a bit of chance. So these are all shelling peas at the back of this one. Come along, there's nothing in here. I tried to plant some really old zucchini seeds, obviously did not come up. Some more bush beans all along here. Some are struggling. This is why I don't like this mulch, because it's so long and stringy that it was hard to make space for the seeds to come up. So I think I may have choked out a few, but we've got enough. There's plenty here. And then at the back of this one is all our snow pea seeds, which I'm looking forward to. Right, in between the beans again, I've got cabbages. And once again, these guys had a really slow start, just because I think the potting mix I had was just not as good as normal. I've always bought the same brand. I always buy the Searles potting mix, and it's always been brilliant. But for whatever reason this year, or maybe it's a different location, maybe they just send crap stuff up north, who knows? But yeah, it definitely wasn't as good. All of my seedlings struggled. I had to use like a sea salt, watered down sea salt mix on them to even sort of get them to get any true leaves on them. I don't know what it was, but hopefully it'll improve, or I'll try a different brand next season, because this, you know, they were in there for 6 weeks and they were smaller than this. So yeah, we'll see what happens next season. All right, more bush beans. This type, whatever it is, didn't quite germinate as well as the others, but I did let Dan plant these ones, so it could just be that. And then at the back, I've got these cucumbers. I thought I'd try cucumbers in the winter, because in summer they just got decimated by grasshoppers. These are a longer white variety that I wanted to try, because I'm hoping that they don't get so bitter. Anytime I've tried to plant cucumbers, the white ones seem to do well. The Richmond's green apple I plant a lot. They're like a apple-sized cucumber. They don't get real long. Any of the long green ones I've tried to plant, they just, even when they're young, they just seem to be so bitter. And I think it's because of the heat. They just don't do so well. They go bitter so quickly, and they need so much water. And being in the dry season, watering every day or two, or, you know, at the moment I'm only watering once a week. So survival of the fittest here, I guess. But yeah, I'm hoping that these cucumbers do well in winter when there's no pest pressure. I've only seen one grub on one tomato plant, and that's been it. I haven't seen any other sort of pests in the garden. In fact, I've even seen butterflies and stuff flying through, so pretty happy with that. So that's our garden for May 2023. I don't really see myself planting too much more. I think I'm going to go get some fresh zucchini seeds and plant them down there in that bare patch that I've got, because I want to fill what I've got. I think the rest of winter is going to be spent fixing up these gardens. So these ones down here, sorry, excuse the mess, but I need to dig up a tarp from under this one. There's another one on the other side of this greenhouse that needs a tarp dig up from, and digging up the tarps from these ones. So then we're good to go, you know, late winter, early spring, when it gets past the coldest part of winter, and then see what we can smash out before the pests get too bad. That's going to be the plan, and you know, everything else that needs to happen. But for gardens, that's it. Hopefully I can give you another update in about a month. We'll see how this gardens are all growing. I've been really happy so far, and yeah, all right, see you next time.